After what critics call an Iranian defeat in the diplomatic arena, is President Trump losing his strategic narrative at home and signaling a desire to enter the Ukraine war? The United States is preparing testing ranges designed to mimic Ukrainian battlefields, creating realistic training environments with terrain, fortifications, and electronic threat simulations so forces can rehearse the kinds of combined arms, counter-drone, and urban operations they may face in Eastern Europe. This scaled-up training and readiness push was exposed just days after President Putin warned the West was preparing for war, a sequence of developments that observers say risks feeding reciprocal escalation narratives and complicating diplomatic channels even as governments try to reassure allies. Is the U.S. move a desperate attempt to save face after perceived embarrassment over the Iran war negotiations? After establishing a new military formation, the United States is now moving to boost readiness still further, stepping up training, infrastructure, and force posture to ensure those units can be rapidly deployed and sustain high-intensity operations if called upon. The U.S. Army Secretary announced plans for new domestic testing ranges designed to mimic the combat conditions unfolding in the Ukraine-Russia war, a measure intended to give troops realistic preparation against the combined arms, drone saturation, and urban fighting that have defined recent battles. Officials say the home station ranges will replicate battlefield conditions observed in Ukraine, incorporating terrain features, simulated electronic warfare, and drone threats so that units can rehearse tactics, test equipment, and refine command and control under stress-tested scenarios. Details of the U.S. Army's testing plans were reported by RT News on June 24, which outlined the scope and intent of the program and noted how the initiative forms part of a broader effort to adapt training to contemporary European battlefield realities. The announcement came just days after Russia's president delivered a public statement critical of Western policies, with Putin's June 23 remarks framing the West as preparing for confrontation and thereby sharpening the political context for Washington's increased readiness measures. U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll said, and I quote, "You can have a kind of electronic warfare and all of the contested environment created, and you can have drone manufacturers and counter-drone tool builders engaging together. Then, we also want soldiers to be able to go there so that they can strengthen their skills and work hand-in-hand with developers." The ranges will simulate complex electronic warfare environments, contested airspace, and dense drone zones, so that units can practice operating under degraded communications, GPS denial, and continuous unmanned system threats that mirror the layered challenges seen on modern battlefields. Reports indicate the U.S. is seeking firms capable of producing as many as 300,000 low-cost kamikaze drones, according to a Washington Post item cited via RT. A procurement push aimed at massing expendable unmanned strike options to overwhelm adversary defenses and enable distributed lethality. The Pentagon is reportedly prepared to allocate roughly $54.6 billion in 2027 toward an expanded drone program, a significant investment that reflects a strategic bet on unmanned systems to provide scalable strike, surveillance, and attrition capabilities across contested theaters. The Russia-Ukraine war has underscored the central role of drones in both offensive and defensive operations, demonstrating how unmanned aerial systems have become critical for reconnaissance, precision strike, electronic suppression, and attritional tactics that shape battlefield outcomes. Iran has also made extensive use of drones in tandem with missile systems during its confrontations with the United States and Israel, employing swarms and coordinated strikes to complicate air defenses and enhance the reach and survivability of its strike options. As Iran and the United States negotiate a peace deal, U.S. forces are simultaneously stepping up their military readiness, quietly preparing equipment, logistics, and personnel so they can respond rapidly if diplomatic progress stalls or adversaries seek to exploit any perceived lull. The U.S. Army has established a new military formation, the 7th Infantry Division of Pacific Joint Command, a purposeful move intended to create a tailored, regionally focused force capable of operating across the Indo-Pacific's complex environments and reinforcing Allied deterrence. This first-of-its-kind formation blends traditional ground combat power with emerging warfare tools, intentionally combining infantry, firepower, and maneuver capabilities with advanced sensors, cyber tools, and unmanned systems to create a hybrid force suited for modern multi-domain operations. Based at Joint Base Lewis McChord, the unit is reported to comprise roughly 12,000 troops, a substantial force posture that positions personnel and equipment for rapid deployment across the Pacific theater while enabling sustained operations from a forward hub. Described by planners as a largely self-sufficient cover force, the division is intended to perform reconnaissance, counterintelligence, and strike missions, operating with integrated support elements so it can detect threats, protect friendly forces, and apply timely force where needed. Reports indicate the division will incorporate dedicated cyber and electronic warfare capabilities, and be structured to mount cyberattacks when required, reflecting an explicit recognition that information domain operations are now integral to kinetic campaigns. 2 Stryker Brigade combat teams are expected to coordinate closely with long-range artillery units, creating a combined arms arrangement that pairs mobile armored maneuver with standoff firepower to shape the battlefield and deny adversary freedom of movement. Force planners also intend to deploy unmanned surface vessels and long-range kamikaze drones as part of the unit's organic toolkit, expanding maritime and strike options while reducing risk to personnel and enabling persistent, distributed effects over vast distances. The reorganization aims to tightly integrate intelligence collection, army artillery, and a broad spectrum of unmanned assets, producing a fused, multi-domain operational picture and the ability to synchronize fires and reconnaissance at speed. This structural shift comes amid wider changes to U.S. Pacific posture and a series of redeployments, part of a broader strategic effort to rebalance forces, improve deterrence and adapt to evolving threats in the region. Moves accompanying the reorganization include reinforcing the island of Guam, realigning units across theater commands, and delivering new weapon systems to Allied and U.S. bases, all intended to enhance sustainment, forward presence, and regional interoperability. In a related logistics and air mobility development, U.S. Air Force tankers have returned to Al Udeid Air Base for the first time since Operation Epic Fury in February, replenishing regional aerial refueling capacity and underlining how sustainment and reach remain central to contingency plans. Satellite imagery captured on June 22 revealed at least 12 U.S. aerial refueling tankers parked at the Qatari base, a visible sign of enhanced logistics and reach as planners ensure air assets can sustain extended operations across the Gulf and into adjacent theaters. The tanker presence reportedly surged from virtually zero just last week to a dozen aircraft today, a rapid and conspicuous buildup that analysts say reflects an expedited decision to re-establish forward aerial refueling capacity in response to shifting threat assessments. The return of these aerial refuelers signals a renewed U.S. air power posture in the Gulf region, communicating to partners and potential adversaries alike that Washington is reinforcing its ability to project sustained air operations and maintain operational flexibility across the maritime choke points.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.